U.S. President Joe Biden has dispatched one of his most trusted and potentially influential officials to West Asia. C.I.A. Director Bill Burns arrived in Qatar's capital Doha in hopes of turning the truce between Israel and Hamas militants into something more concrete. Burns' trip to Qatar comes after the truce was extended by 2 days. The C.I.A. director visited Qatar for meetings with Qatari officials as well as his Israeli and Egyptian counterparts to push for a broader hostage deal that would expand beyond women and children. It aims to include negotiations for men and soldiers. According to an official briefed on the talks, both Egypt and Qatar have had prominent roles in the hostage talks. Qatar hosts Hamas's political leadership in Doha, and in recent days, Qatari officials have been speaking with Hamas representatives about how to potentially expand the hostage release. U.S. officials have been deeply involved in pushing for a deal to release hostages. Burns has been a central player in the Biden administration's effort to negotiate a deal for Hamas to release hostages. He's been in regular contact with Barnea, who was designated by Israelis as the point person for hostage negotiations. Moreover, Burns earlier traveled to Doha on the 9th of November, and him and Barnea, the head of Mossad, Israel's spy service, held talks with Qatari officials who've been working on the issue. The trip comes as Americans are still being held hostage, including 2 American women eligible for release under the current deal, and several more who are men and therefore unlikely to be included. And our correspondent Susan Teherani brings us this report on C.I.A. Director Bill Burns' visit to Doha. Listen in.
C.I.A. Director Bill Burns was in Doha, Qatar on Tuesday to push for a broader hostage deal to include not only women and children, but also IDF soldiers and men. Some of those IDF soldiers are women. Burns arrived in Doha not only to meet with Qatari officials, but also his Israeli counterpart and head of Egypt's intelligence as well. But Burns also hopes to expand the current temporary truce between Israel and Hamas. Now, his trip is being closely watched as Americans continue to be in Hamas captivity, including 2 women who would have been eligible for release under the current hostage deal and not an expansion of it. The Biden administration is now facing criticism because it has been unable to leverage the release of more American hostages, with the exception of 4-year-old Abigail Edan, who is an Israeli American and is now home.